Welcome, Roberta.
Hi, Laura. Glad to be here.
Hi. Roberta, after we had our recent podcast, we had a discussion offline about my blog on the golden rule, moving on to the platinum rule. And through this discussion, you introduced a concept to me called Ubuntu. Would you be able to share that with us?
Yes. So first of all, the golden rule being upgraded to the platinum rule is also something I heard from one of my previous podcast guests. So you see how we learn.
Yeah.
And then when I shared that with you, you also sent me the different belief systems and how they see the golden rule or the platinum rule.
Mm-hmm.
And when you did that, I picked a few, I think it was about 2 or 3, where I said the way that this culture or belief system views the golden rule is similar to my Zulu heritage. I'm South African from the Zulu tribe. If you've heard of King Shaka Zulu, I don't know.
Yeah.
Basically, yes. So that's where I'm from. Basically, one of the great things that he did, remember, it was ancient times, and so they didn't have guns. They had spears and arrows. When the English army came with guns to try and defeat them and take over, he heard and his servants came to him and said, "King, what are we going to do? You know, a gun, you only shoot once, right? And the person is dead. Whereas an arrow, how many times do you need to stab and stab? It takes forever. There's no way we're going to defeat these people. It's practically impossible." And he said to them, "Trust me, just follow my lead. Do what I say. We can do this." Never been done in history that an army with bows and arrows defeats an army with guns.
Wow.
That's how brilliant he was with his war strategies in order to keep the Zulu nation alive and for anyone who's invading our territory to not win. He was so brilliant that, and it's funny, I heard the story from when I was living in South Korea from an American who attended Boy Scouts when he was growing up. He's currently in the army. Imagine something about my heritage I didn't even know. So I heard he said, "Roberta, so which tribe are you from in South Africa?" I said, "I'm Zulu, you know, the King Shaka." He said, "Of course." He said, "I was a Boy Scout." The founder of the Boy Scout program, American Boy Scouts, studied your king's brilliance and war strategies, and that's how he came up with the American Boy Scouts. I kid you not. I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that.
And I'm from, it's understandable for you. I'm from, that's my king.
Yeah.
So that, because, like I said, that it's called the Battle of Isandlwana, that war where they won against an army with guns, that was historic because it was never done again. So fast forward, when we had that discussion, right, you and me, about Ubuntu. So I was just giving background on my heritage. So when I picked those 2 other belief systems that see it the way my heritage sees it, I remember a story, and the story we used to learn in 1st grade. Imagine impressing that on children as young as 1st grade. It used to be our once a week literature Zulu class, so to speak, right? Because you know, other days you have language and other days you have comprehension, etc. This was just sort of like a cultural studies lesson so that we understand where we come from, what our culture is about. So here's basically the story. When somebody was, you know, moving from California to New York, remember there were no cars, there were no horses, there were no planes, there was no transportation. So how were they going to walk? How were they going to move? They were going to walk, right? It obviously takes longer than 1 day to walk from California to New York, right? And so when the sun sets and he sees that it's about to get dark, he would look around any house that he sees nearby. He would walk in there, respectfully introduce himself. Now, back home in our culture, we have clan names. In my Zulu culture and former President Nelson Mandela's Xhosa culture, we have clan names, meaning your surname has other surnames it is related to. based on your history.
Mhm.
So the surnames related to my surname, I could never date those guys. They're basically my brothers.
Okay.
That's how close the
Yeah.
clan name is.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
don't know if you know when President Nelson Mandela was alive, his actual surname is Mandela, but they used to call him Madiba.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
They used to call him that. That's his clan name. And if you call somebody by their clan name, it's actually more of a term of endearment.
Mhm.
It's more, it just warms their hearts.
Mhm.
That's how you greet usually when you want somebody to just fully just make their day, you know.
Oh.
So you would introduce yourself in this house. These people have never seen you before. You don't know them.
Mhm.
You introduce yourself, the clan names and everything. Usually they would know. As soon as you tell them your surname, they would know the clan names related to you and where you're from, meaning the village you're from.
Mhm.
And I'm making a trip from California to New York. So they know how far it is, even though but they have an idea of how far it is. The first thing they'll do, they'll give you dinner. They'll give you a warm bed to sleep on. And they will help you wake up in the morning. We didn't have alarm clocks back then, but you know, the cock crows and everything and makes the sun say, hey, wake up, the sun is shining. They will wake you up and say, be on your way, and give you lunch for the next part of the journey.
Wow.
And then the next day, you keep repeating that with complete strangers until you get to New York. It doesn't matter how many months that's going to take. Because they don't see strangers. We don't have the word stranger in our Zulu vocabulary. We have the definition, which is somebody you don't know, but we don't have like a one word vocabulary for the word stranger, because we don't see the next person as a stranger. They are us.
Yeah.
I am because you are. We are interconnected. You know how we talk about being connected to the universe and universal energy? We are interconnected.
Yeah.
So I don't see you as separate from me. We don't have the word stranger designated for that word. Similar to in Zulu culture, when the parents, you blend your families. If there's a remarriage and kids from the first marriage, etc., we don't have the word step parent. It's just your mom, it's just your dad. Even if it's a new one, it's just your mom, it's just your dad. We don't have half siblings or step siblings. It's your brother or your sister, that's it. We don't have that vocabulary. And we don't have vocabulary that separates people. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I wonder, it's such a beautiful concept. What is the effect on culture when you don't have the concept of stranger or step siblings or step parents? What is the effect on the culture?
Think about it. The fact that you can take a trip for days and be taken care of along the way, there's no crime, there's nobody hurting you, there's no one wanting to take something from you and harm you. That's basically how they lived back then. Humanity is more important than any material whatever.
Yeah.
We value humans more than all the other tangible stuff. So that's why you can be taken care of by complete strangers. Speaking of which, I remember when I came to this country, growing up, I'm 46 now. So growing up in the 80s, we didn't have what is called homelessness. It's only something that started recently. We didn't have homelessness. If you go to Johannesburg from your hometown, because you know everybody was digging gold and looking for better jobs. If you go to Johannesburg and things don't work out and you lose your job, you just go back home. If you don't have family, you have an aunt, a grandma, somebody in the rural areas who will take you in, a relative. Nobody was homeless.
Yeah.
And they will take you in just like they would their own blood family until you're on your feet.
Wow. That's safety net.
There's no such thing as homelessness.
Yeah.
And if you see, I remember when this thing started of people standing on traffic lights, we used to, where are your people? Where do you come from? meaning your village, your people, your family, where they originated from, because we don't do standing on the traffic light begging. You should be with your family. You have a relative somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because humans are more important than anything else.
And there's also this notion about the collective behind this, the fact that there is a community that will take care of me. My family will take care of me. There's someone who will take care of me.
Always. It's such second nature for us, even today, to, if God forbid one of your siblings who's married with children or something, sometimes, and something happens, sometimes you'll have something horrific, like a couple, the whole married couple dying in a car accident, and they leave children. Someone in the family is going to take care of them. We don't have a foster care system back home.
Yeah.
Somebody they related, whether it's a sibling, whether it's a grandma, whether it's somebody. We don't have that system of put them in the system. Somebody will know. We don't have that.
When I hear this,
not an inconvenience. Sorry, correct.
No, when I hear this, what I think is I want to live in Zulu culture. A place
speaking of
trust, right? The bonds, the belonging.
Yes, because the value of a human is more than anything.
Yeah.
Is greater than anything. And speaking of people not being an inconvenience, it brings me to, we don't have old age homes for the grandmas.
Yeah.
No, we don't have. No. It's other cultures who came with that, and they do that. But us Black people in South Africa, we don't participate in that.
Yeah, because you would take care.
Somebody you're related to is somewhere around here, and they're going to live with you until as a grandma you pass on. We don't do old age homes.
Yeah. And it's an expectation and a norm is what I'm hearing.
I don't want it to sound as if you don't have a choice to say no.
Yeah.
Because you do have a choice to say no. But I think it probably could be the norm, because I have friends who take care of their siblings kids who died, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if they don't die, say your sibling has to, they have a child, and they have to go study abroad, and the child can't come along. It's natural. You're gonna go to your aunts.
Yeah,
it's a no-brainer. You stay with your aunt until I come back from studying overseas or something. I'm just making an example.
Yeah. And you see all of this comes full circle to what we were talking about earlier about this golden rule and this platinum rule. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated, golden rule. Platinum rule, treat others the way they'd like to be treated.
They like to be treated.
Yeah.